faking it to make money? Twitter has been under the microscope lately since launching its IPO. Researchers reporting that tens of millions of users are either fake or inactive. It could end up having a big impact on money being paid out to influencers, not to mention the company's name and stock. Dessi is a social media expert who actually bought some bogus followers himself. I've got a lot of questions about that. And Jolene Kent, of course, is our resident Twitter expert. You know, you are such a strong man to come out here and admit that you've done it.
Thanks, you know.
And you know what?
Sometimes you need to just fall on the sword,
right? How are you tempted? Yes.
I was tempted because I was starting my business, Silverback Social, and I'd been in digital for a lot of years, but I was peeling away from a business partner. I wanted to make sure that I was viewed as the definitive leader that I knew I was.
Did you read about it? Did someone say, you know, you can buy followers?
Read about it. I actually had a client that was going on a book tour and kind of said, hey, she read an article and she said, this is really compelling to me. This is interesting for right now. So I investigated it on her behalf, and I was kind of like one of those moments.
You were asking for
pressed against the wall, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this myself. And I did it, and I felt horrible about it. But, you know.
So how much did you pay, and how many people did you get?
I paid about $350, and I got 50,000 Twitter followers.
Wow, so you were like, this is genius. You wanted to do it again right away.
It was, you know, it's like steroids, right? It was immediate satisfaction. It was very cosmetic. But some of the fraudulent activity that's currently happening on Twitter, it's a little bit more kinetic. It's a little bit more sinister than the sort of cosmetic buffering of extra followers on Twitter. So what you did isn't that bad right now. Wait, that's what I'm trying.
Well, I'll get more in a second. What does this mean to Twitter? I mean, what does this mean? Because we're hearing more and more about this. We are reacting to, you know, there was a study, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal talking about tens of millions of people on Twitter that are not people on Twitter, that are fake. I mean, how does that undermine the value of what Twitter is doing?
Look, I don't think it really has that big of an effect on stock, at least for now. But if you look at the terms...
It does. It says their business is fake. It says that when they say they have this many million people, they really don't. It has. But
I think that ultimately that actually hurts the individual person who's buying the tweets or buying the followers, because I think the whole point of being on Twitter and having a value associated with your handle is actually based on the fact that people are listening and talking to you and with you and against you and having an ongoing debate.
I mean, Twitter's whole value is we can tell you what everybody's saying and doing and thinking. And if what everybody, those aren't bodies, those are robots, it totally undermines the value of the business.
So this is why this gentleman, Jim Vidmar, is essentially buying promoted trending tweets, right? So again, it's more sinister than just padding your Twitter following. He's able to sort of overtake the trending tweet of the day that Twitter is selling to advertisers for $200,000. So it can undermine exactly what's happening. I mean, he has some case studies where he's talking about some boy bands that are doing mass followings and mass reciprocal followings to build their followings as they're happening.
So they say, follow me back. You know, I follow you, follow me back.
But it's at a mass way of doing it. But he's purchasing the followers that are engaging with the Twitter account. So they're retweeting, they're tweeting to the person.
So they're real people.
Which is different than buying followers who are sent out by robots or spam bots, if you will.
So that's why it's like kind of like the next level of the negative buying just Twitter followers.
Which I think that is more dangerous.
He didn't give any numbers, but we know that it's less than $200,000 to become a trending topic on Twitter. And this is compelling and should probably scare shareholders of Twitter to be like, oh, my goodness, it's sort of like you pay for a billboard and you pay a certain amount of money, but then there's somebody else saying, well, pay me half of that and I'll build a billboard and I'll say that it was built by the people because it doesn't have the promoted tweet icon on it. So people say, oh, this is natural and organic when it's really not.
This reminds me of buying your way into the New York Times bestsellers list that I think a lot of people out there don't know is very possible to do. And you know, they do things, the New York Times tries to protect it, but there are always people the same way. Out there figuring out ways in order to get your way on there, buying books in various ways. Does it, I mean, it's got to undermine the brand over time, or can Twitter battle back and shut this down?
So I think that's exactly what they're trying to do. Twitter's trying to fight back. It's very clear in their terms, and we can actually show you a full screen here of what they say. But essentially, you cannot create multiple accounts for abusive or disruptive purposes, and it also includes automated accounts that are not for individuals. You can see there, you can be suspended if you conduct this. And also, if you look at the type of hiring that they're making, they're expanding on engineers to fight this, to be anti-spam, anti-bot. But there is more of a nuanced, advanced attempt to buy more followers that are actually real people. And I think that's where the danger is.
You know, and I want to say, so we were looking out at this because, you know, this is something people talk about all the time. You know, reality television stars talk about how many followers they have, and then they accuse all the Real Housewives are always accusing each other. You bought those followers. Those aren't real people. Some of the places, buytwitterfollow.com, usesocial.net, intertwitter.com, fanmenow.com. Seems very obvious from the names of these websites that are selling ways to that's exactly what they're doing. Can't Twitter shut them down? Isn't there a way to stop them if they're out there advertising? Buytwitterfollow.com. It's very clear what their business model is.
Yes.
Very clear. They're not beating around the bush. And Twitter has been paying attention to it, but there's been a little bit of a dip in some of the attention that they've been paying to it. And some people are saying that it's because of the Twitter IPO, that they've kind of taken their eye off the ball for a minute. There was a university study where they were studying the algorithms that were written, and they were attacking it, and they said, we got rid of about 95% of the spam bots. Now all of a sudden there's this uptick that's happening, and again, because they're sort of hijacking the trending tweets, it's an even more compelling story.
The people you bought, were they real or were they bought? Do you know?
They were fake. They were absolutely fake.
So
and
what
happened?
Like, you bought it and it bumped right up?
Bumped right up, and then it's, you know, it's like the steroid effect, right? You get big and bulky, and then all of a sudden, in big clumps, it would just leave. So it went from 50,000 followers to 30,000 followers.
Why? Because you weren't paying anymore?
Followers.
They didn't stay permanently?
Essentially, I mean, that's what happened, right?
You'd have to go back. For followers.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is compelling. Certainly, people that are in the public eye, the Real Housewives, they're certainly,
right, because they say I have 1 million people, or Ashton Kutcher, he says I have 15 million followers, and that gives someone a lot of credibility. How many followers they have?
It does, but it also, I'm going to go back to my original point and think it kind of doesn't. And I would like to think that my 13,000 followers, as few as they are, they are real, and they actually care about maybe what we're doing here at Fox Business. Yeah. But I do think that the credibility on an individual level for people who are trying to build a business, definitely doesn't help you make money.
Okay. All right, guys, you were great. Thank you. And you're so brave and honest to come out.